The second season has officially started, so here's a quick summary of everything that you need to know about Ranger Reject or Go-Go Loser Rangers anime in under 6 minutes. The story is about this guy, Foot Soldier D. He's technically a bad guy in the eyes of pretty much everyone in the world, and he's part of an evil invader army that attacked 13 years ago, but their forces were beaten back by the Divine Dragon Keepers, 5 Sentai-themed heroes with weapons blessed by divine dragons. Years after the war took place, D and his people are basically kept alive in order to provide entertainment every Sunday, following a scripted event put in place by the Rangers, who basically hold the invaders' lives in their hands. They hold these events every Sunday and sell tickets and merch and force the invaders to participate, pretending to still be scary and dangerous, but deep down the entire thing is a fake. Tired of the same old story, D decides it's time to shake things up a bit. Being a prideful invader that he is, he defies the script and the Rangers and says today is the day the bad guys win, and he challenges them in front of everybody. Of course, D gets dunked on and sent packing, unfortunately, and that's where the story really begins. D and his allies are immortal, which is how they're able to keep the show up in the first place. When damaged, their bodies break apart and turn to dust, but with these immortal bodies, they can also change their shapes and appearances to look like other things or people. D takes on the appearance of a young boy and encounters 2 young Rangers, Hibiki, a bright-eyed and excited boy, and Suzukiri, a girl who seems to be able to see into his soul and maybe knows his secret. They invite the boy to join the Rangers, and after suffering one more humiliating defeat at the hands of the Rangers, he decides to take them up on that offer, to join the Rangers, vowing to take them down from the inside. D reunites with Suzukiri and Hibiki for lunch and gets to know them a little more. After eating, Suzukiri and Hibiki split up, but D overhears that Suzukiri is going to drop something off at the Red Battalion and that Hibiki is a big fan of the Red Dragon Keeper. So D changes his appearance to look like Hibiki and goes with Suzukiri so that he can get a closer look at his enemy and scope out the scene. When they get there, they're met by someone named Tokita who claims to be the Red Keeper, and D has to keep up his composure, but then he finds out that this person is not only not the Red Keeper but also someone who personally knows Hibiki, and he says he's acting weird. Tsukita asks D what he, Hibiki, normally calls him, and after floundering a little, Suzukiri steps in, telling Shun not to bully his junior. Suzukiri hands off the letter to Tsukita, and her and D head off, and as they're about to leave, they bump into the real Dragon Keeper, Sosei Akabane. D, now face to face with the real deal, is caught off guard, very flustered, and can only think to tell Sosei how amazing he was at the show and to keep an eye out for those cowardly invaders. After they leave, Suzukiri basically lets him know that she knows what he is, telling him to get the knife out of his pocket and then cutting his head off with it. She taunts him, but also gives him props for being able to keep a cool head while in the Red Garrison, calling him weak, confirming that she is an enemy but offers to join sides with him so that she can crush the Rangers with him. Suzukiri and D meet up, and she reminds him of his place several times, letting him know how weak he is and that she can get rid of him at any time. He asks why she wants to kill the Rangers, and she sort of gives him a silly answer, saying she likes watching dramas and rooting for the rival character instead of the good guy. D doesn't quite understand, but it's okay. There's a little more to her than what she lets up. Suzukiri tells D that the Rangers aren't invincible, and if he's capable and careful and smart, he can take them down, but he has to start with their divine dragon tools. Hibiki shows up, something that I'm pretty sure doesn't happen in the anime, and lets them know that there's a stray invader on the loose and that Red Battalion is taking care of it, but they should go see the scene anyway. While on the way, Hibiki lets D know that he was eavesdropping and that D's plan won't work and that he should join hands with him in fixing the Rangers. D finds himself stuck in between 2 crazy kids, but elsewhere another foot soldier is being chased by Tokita and some more Red members. He runs into Sosei, who basically tells him he has to be punished for coming down unscheduled like this. D knows this foot soldier. His name is Foot Soldier F, and D has to watch as Sosei uses his dragon tool to completely eradicate him. Normally the foot soldiers are able to regenerate their bodies, but when hit with these divine dragon tools, their bodies are completely destroyed, and if not, then they're left with unhealable wounds. Now that D truly understands what he's up against, he takes Suzukiri up on her offer. She teaches him a little more about the dragon tools, and they come up with a plan to have D infiltrate the Red Garrison during the Sunday battle, because the Rangers never bring their real weapons to the show. D impersonates Sosei and returns to the garrison to collect the weapon. He is noticed by a little dragon and also Tokita, who pretends not to be aware. When D finds the dragon tool stashed in a bag with golf clubs, it pisses him off, realizing that the Rangers have always been looking down on him, and Tokita appears and shoots him in the back, saying he could tell that D was a fake and that the real Red would never let him sneak up on him like that. D and Tokita go back and forth a little bit, more like Tokita kicks D's ass, but right as he's about to finish him off with the red tool, D reveals that he's covered in dynamite and threatens to blow up the entire building, which would kill Tokita but not himself. D tricks Tokita though, and instead of self-destructing, he smacks him with a golf club, and after beating him with it a little more, he makes his escape. Unfortunately, his escape, along with his conversation with Suzukiri, is cut short because he's met by the real Dragon Keeper, and they fight a little bit on the roof of the Red Garrison. Red doesn't take him seriously though, and refuses to kill D without a crowd watching. The helicopters and other Rangers appear, and then the show is back on. Green Keeper offers to spare D in exchange for working for them, and when D refuses, Red has Blue kill him with his dragon tool. D survives by blowing blowing himself up with dynamite right before being hit to cushion the blow a bit. When Sosei goes to retrieve his weapon, he realizes he's been duped, and D transformed part of his body to look like his divine tool. Somewhere else, Suzukiri is now in possession of it. The next day, Red calls a dinner meeting with the others. We meet more of the Rangers and the people under the Dragon Keepers, and Red tells them how he messed up and got his tool stolen. During this meeting, Blue snaps at Suzukiri for being late, and Red's junior first class tries to get Red Ranger to step down as Dragon Keeper. He was secretly the one to leak the information about the location of the tool and wants to take Sosei's place. Sosei reveals his dangerously erratic nature and bashes his brains into a wall, even after we see that they had a decent relationship in the past. Later, Blue Battalion goes to visit the flying fortress that the foot soldiers live in and threaten them, and station Rangers at their fort to keep an eye on them. Blue tells one of his subordinates to look for D, and we see that D has survived with scars on his body from the dragon tool. He meets Hibiki again and learns about his past, which seems unbelievable because D knows that all of their executives or bosses were killed, but Hibiki swears that one of them killed his family. Their conversation is cut short by Hekiru, a spineless, timid member of the Blue Battalion, wielding a scythe that can create acid. D outsmarts him a few times and eventually gets cornered, but D and Hibiki quickly form a plot so that everyone can survive. Hibiki cuts off his hand to prove that he's serious to D and dresses up like D, who disguises himself as Hibiki, and they face off against Hekiru one last time. Hibiki gets his face burned with acid while pretending to be D and retreats while D joins Hekiru with the plan to join the Rangers while pretending to be Hibiki. From here, D disguised as Hibiki goes down into Bailong's nest to take an exam necessary to become an official ranger. He experiences several hardships here, especially because the people he will be interacting with all know Hibiki and have different opinions on him, but the one thing they all share is their dislike for invaders, and they all show that they're very skilled at taking down foot soldiers. Since D and Hibiki didn't have long to speak, Hibiki didn't get the chance to explain much to him, like how he had information about his fellow cadets on his laptop, and so on the first day, D is woken up by the alarm on the computer and smashes it without realizing what it was. His next day starts by trying to get a tech support guy to fix the laptop and passing out ID cards to the other cadets, and then running into Sisera, Pink Dragon Keeper, and also Hibiki's sister. When he sees her, he runs away to his room, only to find another invader hiding in the closet. This invader is friendly with Hibiki and doesn't realize D is impersonating him, and D starts to question how much he really knows about the world. D reveals to them that he is also an invader and convinces her to hide while he deals with Sisera. Sisera tries to convince D, who she believes is Hibiki, to leave and give up on joining the Rangers. He refuses, and when she leaves, D also has a little fight with the other invader named X's, who learns D just came down to the ground recently and dislikes him for being weak. She was part of a larger group of invaders that came down before and got wiped out, but she survived and doesn't respect him. Elsewhere, Sisera is helping civilians getting bothered by thugs and daydreams about her brother becoming a man. The next few days of the exam makes D and the other cadets face off against junior first class Rangers, the ones second in command underneath the Dragon Keepers, and they have to battle them to get keys that will open a door. Here we see many new faces and some returning ones like Tokita, who has a face cast on after D beat him with that golf club, and Suzukiri is also one of the instructors keeping the key that needs to be snatched. The real Rangers show how much further ahead in terms of strength they are from the cadets and beat them down, but there are of course a few surprises. Honestly, this arc is a bit long, so I'm really just going to touch on the highlights here. The first day of the exam mainly focuses on D and Shion trying to get the key from Tokita, who is doing a great job of taking care of them. Hisui, the green junior first class ranger, joins the battle and things get a little hairier, but D thinks up a quick plan to turn things in his favor. Using a fire extinguisher to affect their ability to see, D transforms back and forth from Tokita and Hisui and attacking the other person, pretending to be the other person simply making an accident. And this throws off Hibiki and Tokita's rhythm a bit in battle because they both think that the other is an asshole now. Their battle continues until the bell dings, signaling the end of day one. The JFCs discuss their thoughts on the new cadets and if any of them have potential, while D focuses on keeping an eye on X's, who's grown tired of waiting in the room, and D gets dragged into a conversation with Shion while planning to betray him because he realized that teamwork element of the exam was fake and it's really meant to put the cadets against each other since there aren't enough keys for everyone. D learns about Shion's reason for being here. An executive killed his brother in the past, a similar story to what he heard from Hibiki before, and he wonders if X's knows anything about it because to him, all of the executives were killed. The Blue Battalion member who was fixing D's laptop comes to return it, and he finds X's in Hibiki's room and overpowers her, but he says he doesn't want to fight. He wishes to settle things peacefully, but before he can finish his sentence, he's blasted from behind by Peltrola, the executive that killed Hibiki's parents and Shion's brother. He's really alive and here. He is a powerful creature with a god complex and a hatred for humans. He saves X's and says he will save the poor humans from their endless cycle of conflict. Day 2 of the exam starts, and D realizes that the other kids have already formed an alliance and he was betrayed by Shion. The strong have banded together to take the keys, leaving the weaker cadets to fail, and D tries to pick up the pieces. When he tries to get Ranmaru to listen to him, his identity is revealed, and D uses this moment to threaten Ranmaru into working with them. Elsewhere, Peltrola is on a little bit of a killing spree with X's until he's met by Izome, junior first class for the Blue Battalion. He and his group faces off against Suzukiri, who gives up her key willingly. It gets taken by the stronger group, and then the bell dings to signal the end of the day. He goes over to congratulate them and then snatches the key back, which they consider to be cheating because it's revealed that D's team tampered with the bell to have it ring before the exam period was actually over, so stealing the key at the time was actually fair game. They battle for the final key, but ultimately D's group ends up keeping ownership of the key and day 2 is over. After everyone goes their separate ways, Ranmaru runs into Peltrola and a heavily injured Izome. He pushes her into the elevator to get her out of harm's way, and Peltrola attacks him. When Izome doesn't return, the JFCs notice something is up and they begin the hunting for the executive, but keep the cadets in the dark while the exam is going on because the public believes all the executives are dead. On the 3rd day of the exam, it's much more in favor of D's team because they discover a new form of dragon gadget that they're using to battle, and it completely catches the other team off guard and overpowers them. During this day, Ranmaru also returns, but he's a little bit different and much more willing to do real damage to other cadets. Usakubo, one of the cadets that's teamed up with D, faces off against Ishikawa, an older man past his prime who still believes he can make it as a ranger, and it's revealed that in the past, he was the one who saved Hisui. Usakubo blows up the car that she's in with Ishikawa, and he manages to escape the blast, but she tanks the blow, saying that something's up with her body and that it's not listening to her. Ishikawa is caught off guard by Shippo and has the shit beat out of him. Izome is shown laying down outside and Blue Keeper finds her. We see a little bit of their past together and Izome gives him permission to speak. We find out that back in the day, she once told him that he shouldn't speak because he's scary and he should be more heroic. He explodes onto the scene and the water from his tool splashes Koguma, Ranmaru, who's actually Axis, pretending to be Ranmaru, and he begins chasing and attacking her, asking where the executive is that hurt Izome and his men. It's revealed that Peltrola was the one who gave her name and she would rather die than betray him. D, while pretending to be Hibiki, pretends to be confused after seeing Blue attack Ranmaru and defends his fellow cadet from Blue, but the Blue Dragon Keeper is too strong for them. Blue Keeper eventually wins and forces X's to lead the way to where the executive is hiding. Behind the door that required the 5 keys from the exam, the executive lies and is taking the form of a massive tree. Blue fires at him and large fruits or eggs fall from the tree and spawn clones of the executive. Peltrola is the rooster executive and battles Blue here. After seeing that Peltrola truly is alive, D backstabs him, not really understanding himself, but in the heat of the moment, after feeling betrayed, he finds himself literally stabbing him. It was a my body moved on its own type of moment. X's is pissed and gets into it with D until Peltrola asks her to defend him while he prepares an attack, but he really just used her as a shield to make his escape. Elsewhere, Peltrola encounters the other cadets and the junior first class rangers and battles with all of them in different places. Some of them are familiar with Peltrola, him being the executive that killed Shion's brother. He has a personal beef with him and Hisui claims that she's been searching for him for a long time. Suzukiri whispers to him off screen that she's a fan of his and she helps one of his clones get away in the chaos, but that clone is caught by Sasera above ground, who kicks him into space. During this arc, D realizes that all humans aren't so bad and that at the end of his world domination plan, he'll be fine with letting some of them hang out, and it's truly just the Dragon Keepers who need to go, and also now the executives, now that he's found out that him and the other foot soldiers were abandoned and left to be made a fool of by the Rangers. And he doesn't like how Peltrola returns and basically tries to pretend to be the boss again. He decides that he is on his own side, and if invaders' goals don't line up with his, then they're his enemies too. The battle with Peltrola continues in multiple locations. The JFCs killed all the clones they were fighting. Like I said, Sarah caught that one outside. D's group manages to outsmart Peltrola and get the win against him, but they still suffer a loss. Ishikawa, the older cadet, takes a fatal blow in the process. Back where Blue Keeper is, he's still fighting hordes of clones, and we see his backstory. He was a thug that once got set up by an executive and almost killed until he was saved by the Red Keeper, who brought him into the fold of the Dragon Keepers, and they killed the executive who nearly killed him and the previous Blue Keeper. Blue Keeper uses one of the abilities of his dragon tool to take down Peltrola, and then D shows up to finish the fight. D faces off against Blue, who gives him credit for making it this long and says that he has to take D down here no matter what because he'll become an even bigger problem than the executives down the line if he doesn't. And even though D faces impossible odds, he doesn't back down. In the end, D manages to land a final blow on Blue, but only because Peltrola interfered, firing a laser at his neck, catching him off guard, and Blue dies on the spot. And D hates the way it happened. After putting his pride as an invader on the line, the kill that he's been waiting for so long was robbed from him by Peltrola. Following the aftermath of the exam, the news of the deaths of Blue and Ishikawa are all over the news. Luckily, Ranmaru survived thanks to X's, but he's been hospitalized. Tokita and Suzukiri are seen having a conversation about the exam, and he questions whose side she really is on since she gave him part of the Red Dragon tool to use, something that was stolen by D previously, and her having it means that she's somewhat involved, but she tells him it's best if he figures out an excuse for why he has it now, and giving it to him is no big deal because Blue Keeper's Dragon tool is with her now. With that, season 1 is wrapped up and we head into season 2.